Jackie Chan is the man. Appearing in over 100 movies, Jackie is perhaps the greatest stuntman and stunt coordinator of all time, having done some truly astonishing and mind-blowing scenes over his career. Jackie was one of the first to steer away from traditional kung fu flicks, keeping the tight martial arts heritage intact, but infusing it with a more light-hearted comedy tone and over-the-top action sequences that just make his movies fun to watch. Jackie is a true action hero. Having broken every bone in his body twice, he has been through it all, even having brain surgery after jumping onto a tree in Armour of God. It's been a tough list to make, and after watching an insane amount of movies, I've narrowed down the very best that Chan has to offer. In 1985, Chan would release Police Story, the first in perhaps his most recognised series of films, outside of his Hollywood pictures. The film followed in Chan's earlier footsteps, with plenty of action comedy, and the sequel increased this in every regard. After being demoted to a highway patrol officer, Chan is constantly harassed by his old enemies, and decides to leave the police force, but a bomb situation reins him straight back in, before he takes the lead, and eventually takes the fight to the bad guys, culminating in an exciting action scene in an abandoned warehouse. Police Story 2 is an excellent example of Chan at his best. The plot is relatively sane by Hong Kong movie standards, and the action and stunt scenes are as exciting as ever. My favourite moment is when he jumps across traffic onto buses and cars, avoiding traffic signs and other obstacles along the way, before jumping through a sheet of real glass. This is the type of stuff only video game characters are supposed to be able to do. What happens if you cross a Jackie Chan movie with Indiana Jones? That was the question answered in the Armour of God series, Jackie's only real foray into the action-adventure genre, and this sequel has it all. Lost Nazi gold, car chases, tribespeople, weird machines, and over-the-top stunts. The film sees Jackie travelling to deep in the Sahara Desert, where supposedly Nazi gold has been hidden, in order to retrieve it for the United Nations. Along the way, he meets a number of companions, a young German lady named Elsa, a Japanese spiritualist Momoko, and an expert in African terrain Ada, in addition to a number of villains all trying to claim a piece of the treasure, or even sell the girls as sex slaves. Pretty dark. Eventually, Jackie reaches the hidden base where a number of plot points go down that I won't spoil, as well as a number of excellent action sequences. Whilst it doesn't have the dramatic tone or huge budgets as a film like Indiana Jones does, Armour of God 2 makes up for it by relying heavily on Jackie himself, utilising his charisma and comedic timing, and the fact that he is able to do all his own stunts and coordinate them himself adds a realism to this type of action movie that is sorely lacking in the West. There are no green screens here. 1983's Project A is the first film to completely nail Jackie's style. It serves as the complete example to what a Chan movie should be, with the perfect blend of action and comedy, and a plot that doesn't take itself too seriously. Set in the early 20th century, Project A revolves around a team of coastal guards attempting to stop frequent pirate raids, and the corruption that leads to this situation being possible. Co-starring in the film are Sammo Hung and Yuen Bao, Jackie's frequent collaborators, with whom he would star in a number of films across the 80s. Despite being lesser known in the West, they are pivotal parts of many of these movies, and the chemistry they have with each other is clear and enjoyable to watch. Project A is notable for recreating the famous clock tower fall in Safety Last. It took Jackie a week to build up the courage to do this scene, and eventually he simply held on until his hands naturally let go. Jackie is such a perfectionist though, that he went back and filmed it again, suffering injuries in his neck, but it looks great on camera. By this point, Jackie had become so popular that he had to increasingly choose odd names for his films. The reason for this was that if he chose a name that gave away the plot, many copycat films would be rushed to release. However, it's clear there is no replacement for Chan. Many of Jackie's early films were kung fu period pieces, consisting of films such as The Young Master, Dragon Lord, and The Fearless Hyena, which served as one of the inspirations for Dragon Ball. Jackie abandoned this genre in 1982, and it wasn't until 1994 that he would return with a traditional martial arts film with a pseudo-sequel to Drunken Master, Drunken Master 2. Set in the early 20th century, Jackie is a martial arts student in his father's school, regularly getting into trouble and dangerous situations. Eventually, he is kicked out of the school after fighting in public drunk, leading to more fight scenes. A plot unravels concerning the Emperor's Jade Seal, bandit gangs, and the British consulate trying to steal Chinese artefacts through the use of a factory. The plot is slightly crazy, but the real draw here is the incredible fight scenes. The timing and precision of these fights are simply unreal, with the final 20-minute bout being perhaps one of the greatest fight scenes ever recorded. And when you think that this is all real, there are no special effects or wires being used, it's impossible not to marvel at it. For me, Police Story 3 is the culmination of Jackie's movies. Effortless, incredible action sequences, over-the-top stunts, and a perfect comedy action tone, Police Story 3's Super Cop is just a joy to watch. Proving that he literally has no fear, Jackie hangs off a ladder flying around Kuala Lumpur, no CGI involved, pretty awesome. A big part of these movies is the character May, played by Maggie Cheung, as Jackie's girlfriend. Her scenes are often the most funny, with one in which Jackie is undercover, attempting not to be seen by her standing out, as particularly memorable. This is also one of the first films to give Michelle Yeoh a leading role, who would go on to become an action star in her own right, and is famously one of the few women Jackie was happy doing action sequences with. Police Story 3 simply has it all, and I encourage anyone, Chan fan or not, to give it a watch.